Welcome to EchoCast and welcome Lily Bond, Chief Growth Officer for 3Play Media. Among the many things 3Play Media does for their customers all over the world, which we'll talk about today, 3Play automates the process of captioning Echo video lecture recordings, enabling Echo360 customers to comply with the American Disabilities Act and other accessibility legislation for the deaf and hard of hearing students. In addition to being a great partner of ours, 3Play is also a leading provider of transcription and captioning solutions, as well as interactive transcripts, video search, serving hundreds of, way more than that, which we'll talk about today, serving hundreds of customers across education, government, corporate markets. Lily herself has been with 3Play now for over 11 years and has become not only a leading marketer, but a leading voice in the accessibility space, writing a lot of content, papers, articles, presenting at conferences. So you've probably seen her on the circuit there, and appearing on fine shows like EchoCast. So why are we talking to Lily today? Well, aside from her just generally interesting nature and insights that she could share, this episode is part of a special EchoCast series focusing on the ADA's impending Title II regulations and the measures and considerations that particularly higher ed institutions and others are taking to not only comply with, but really advance the learning opportunities and experiences for all learners of all abilities. So welcome to EchoCast, Lily Bond.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Really happy to be here.
Well, we are so thrilled to have you here. And again, the partnership's just been great. So it's going to be kind of fun just to make this connection here personally and with all of our viewers. So before we get into the specific stuff that 3Play is doing with Echo, your background, and I'm a marketing person at heart also. So we've got a similar kind of origin story. Your background started in pretty traditional kind of marketing agency stuff, whatever. But then somewhere along the line, not only did you get bit by the tech bug, but you got really bit by the kind of the accessibility kind of bug. As I mentioned, you've really become a leading voice just in the space of accessibility. So when did that happen for you? Was that just a matter of like, okay, I got a job and now I'm doing this and it kind of flowered from there? Or was it something that was more on purpose for you?
A great question. I would say it was half chance and half purposeful. I did get a job, but I was very driven by working for kind of a mission-based organization. And I've been passionate about accessibility my whole life. I have several family members with, varying disabilities. So it's something I'm very aware of and seek out. And the opportunity to work for an accessibility tech company really paired two of my interests together. And it's been a pleasure to become an expert in the kind of digital accessibility space and be able to learn as much as I have and impact that community over the last 11 years.
That's cool. That's cool. And I'm sure over the last 11 years, you've seen so many, like the evolution of accessibility has been something that has, been very tangible. And for what we even defined accessibility 10 years ago is like so much different today. So we'll get into all that stuff, and we're going to specifically talk about a lot of the leading technology that 3Play brings to the market, if you will. But before we do that, back to the kind of the evolution and the seasons of accessibility. So with Title II specifically, what are you hearing? Is 3Play's phone ringing off the hook with a lot of schools and public institutions that are now kind of seeing these requirements looming? Like, what's the overall mood of the 3Play media customers out there, given the Title II requirements?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we're definitely talking about Title II every day with our customers. We started conversations about a year ago to just understand how customers were starting to plan and think about Title II compliance. While the ADA has been applied to the web a lot over the last, 3+ decades. This is the first time that things like captioning or audio description have been written directly into the law. So schools are taking it seriously in a way that is new. And it came up unexpectedly for schools, and the amount of scale that is required to achieve compliance is really daunting. So we've tried to be kind of a strategic partner from the beginning, helping schools think about how to even begin to tackle this problem, how to phase out an approach and make sure that they're in really good shape for compliance with their video content by the April 2026 deadline. So we've been talking about it, most days of the week for about the last year. And I'm starting to see schools really start to take action on those plans at this point as they hit kind of the final stretch. The April deadline is at the end of this kind of current school calendar year. And we're really starting to implement those plans at this point.
Yeah. One of the things that really I think sets 3Play apart and what we're so grateful for the partnership with 3Play is at the very which, and we're going to talk about the mission in a second as well, but on the way to mission, one thing that I think distinguishes 3Play so much is the tech, is that it's very tech forward, very advanced. Your ability to come to a customer with solutions that they're so fast, they're so accurate. I mean, talk and like for example, with just within captioning you mentioned, you have not only the kind of the human enabled captioning, but also machine captioning, which when you talk about scale, all of a sudden it's like you can achieve a lot of those daunting scale issues with just the tech itself. Talk about how the tech, even before we get to mission, which we will get to, but how much does the technology sort of assuage some of those anxieties? Because it'll slip right into the workflow. It's not something that has to completely disrupt what these educators got into the business for to begin with, which is to educate, right? Not to manage tech. Talk about 3Play's tech and how that's helping kind of like help get these customers down the path towards these accessibility requirements.
Yeah, there's been a big shift in the space and thinking about technology as a tool to help achieve goals instead of more traditional solutions. And luckily, from the very beginning, 3Play has incorporated both technology and humans into our process. So 17 years ago, we were the first captioning company to really combine ASR or auto captions with human review to create a more cost-effective, faster captioning solution. Now, pretty much everyone is doing that. But because we have 17 years of data of correcting auto captions, that means we have 17 years and millions of words of truth data. And when we were talking to schools, it became clear that the scale of this challenge isn't going to be possible to achieve with traditional solutions, with solutions out in market today. And the problem with going with either auto captions or fully human reviewed captions is that there's a huge budget constraint. There's a timing constraint. Some schools have 20 million minutes of content that they need captioned. Doing that with humans, even over the course of 6 months, is going to be really hard to achieve. So what we were able to do with all of the data that we've compiled over the years is we have a proprietary kind of predicted caption accuracy score that we're able to provide on the auto captions. So a school can upload the entire backlog for speech recognition only, and we'll give them a score on that, on the quality of that caption, and they can set a threshold to automatically upgrade anything for human review or post the ASR back if the quality is above their threshold. So what that did is it gave a kind of scaled solution that was a hybrid approach of using auto captions and human reviewed captions to mitigate risk where it was necessary. that was one of the big concerns we heard. Like, if they did auto captioning on all 20 million minutes, how do they know which video had 98% accuracy on those auto captions and which one had 60%? They want to mitigate that risk of the 60% file. So we were able to build this solution to really support that need, and help customers achieve compliance, have a threshold that they're comfortable with without adding any extra work or burden to the administrative team or faculty who's thinking about the solutions for this, for their content.
Yeah, well, and I think what's also great is you offer the choice still. So, like for example, within Echo Video, an Echo Video customer get their recording done, and then if they need the captioning, they can choose whether or not they want the human captioning or machine. So even for those customers who may be resistant to kind of putting that in the hands of a machine, can still have that choice. But with all of the data that you just talked about, and all of the fidelity gets just that much clearer and cleaner with every single byte. Every single it just gets that much more accurate. Do you run into much resistance, if any, around more of the machine enabled services that 3Play has, or is there still some lingering kind of skepticism within, especially the education, you know, sector where, authenticity and obviously the trust needs to be there. But do you run into any of the fear around the machines still today?
Yeah, I think that there's fear. There's also optimism. I think it's about choosing the right solution for the right scenario, and that helps mitigate a lot of the fear. So if you have an accommodation request from a deaf student who requires captions on videos for a course that's happening this semester, you're going to want the human reviewed captions. That's the only way to get to a really fully compliant 99% plus accurate experience. For something like a backlog, where you need to cover, millions of minutes of content, you need to turn to technology to be able to achieve that goal, but you want to do it in a smart way. So you're choosing the machine, but you're keeping an eye on what falls below a threshold. Say you said, 90% accuracy, 95% accuracy. You're able to use humans in a smart way to achieve your goal while relying on automation as much as possible, to reduce costs and really scale your solution.
Yeah. Yeah, right tool for the right task.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the mission, because I love that, and I love the space that you and some of our other tech partners are in. Accessibility I mentioned earlier has obviously evolved over the years, not just the 11 or so that you've been in it, but like you say, for decades. And I feel like it's continuing to evolve from sort of compliance, to culture, and really understanding that creating accessible learning spaces and environments is, yes, there are legal things, there are physical accommodations that that should be made to help people consume content, if you will. But then there's also kind of the bigger kind of picture, if you will, around you know equity in education and things like that. How are you seeing, and whether it's specific to this Title II, these Title II requirements or not, how have you seen that sort of conversation, if you will, kind of evolve in your tenure? Like, do you feel like we are fully kind of maturated beyond compliance, and now it's really people are looking at this thing in a broader thing, or is everyone kind of on their own? Everyone's on a different part of their sort of accessibility journey.
Yeah, I think you have different schools on either side of that spectrum. And I think everyone is kind of in their own place on the journey, but we're seeing more and more people thinking about accessibility more, beyond compliance and as more of a universal design concept. These are tools that really help all students perform better, help all students with comprehension and engagement and retention. And I think that there are certainly people still on the compliance side of the spectrum, but it's moving more and more, I think, particularly post-COVID. So in the captioning space in particular, so much of the world went online. And captioning was pervasive. People started to expect captions regardless of whether they required that accommodation. And people started to really see the benefit that captions brought to focus, to retention of information, to engagement on content. And schools and businesses should want to add captions to video to improve all of those metrics and improve all of those learning outcomes. And I think we're starting to see that be the case more and more. And it's really coming from a younger generation phasing into college that grew up with the expectation of these tools being available to them, regardless of whether it was an accommodation requirement or not.
Yeah, yeah. All right, before I let you go, like I mentioned, 3Play, one of the most tech forward, on the sharpest of the cutting edge of our accessibility technologies. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't, and you probably can't say anything specific. But is there anything as you look ahead, okay, into the future, and if you can't likely say a specific thing that's still kind of in the back of the shop getting worked on, what kinds of trends is 3Play tracking to in terms of the development of that next generation of technology that's going to be able to be applied to the accessibility space? And you can't say AI because everybody says AI. So, or if you say AI, you have to be a little bit more specific about AI.
Yeah, I think certainly I starting to view accessibility technology as more of a universal concept is one of them. But I think it's about how we use AI. I think, as you said, everyone's saying AI. Everyone wants AI to be good enough. Everyone wants to use AI for everything. And I think where we're going to end up is that AI is a great tool, but it's not the full solution. And I think that's where we're seeing the trend go. People are starting to see the places it succeeds and the places it fails. And I think we're going to see more and more hybrid solutions where AI can achieve some goals, and then you need kind of human review to complete the picture and get to an end product. So we're seeing that certainly in the captioning and audio description space. We've released an AI audio description tool, which is, significantly reducing costs for schools to be able to provide audio description. But there are cases where it's amazing and cases where you need human review. Just like with captioning, auto caption sometimes will get you to 95% accuracy and sometimes will get you to 60% accuracy.
Right.
You need to have kind of a smart approach to how you're implementing that AI. And you require some review and expertise on the human side to get to kind of a universal solution. So I think we're going to see that hybrid mix more and more as the kind of best fit for a lot of schools.
Yep, yep. Smart approach with smart partners like 3Play. So thank you again. All right, so we're gonna let Lily go, okay? But everybody else, stick around for a quick demo now of some of the applications that were just referenced here in this episode of EchoCast. And then you can also always go to echo360.com, check out more EchoCast episodes and resources to transform your own learning.
Thanks so much to Lily Bond for joining us and sharing insights into the powerful partnership between Echo360 and 3Play Media. My name is David Kaplan, product expert here at Echo360, and today I'm going to show you how the partnership between 3Play Media and Echo360 comes to life. When it comes to on-demand closed captions, 3Play is setting the standard for accessibility. Their solution offers customers a simple path to compliance while delivering a rich, accessible video experience that's unmatched in quality. One of the things that Echo360 loves about 3Play is the flexibility that they provide. Customers can choose whether they want human-generated captions for maximum precision or machine-generated captions for speed and scale. And speaking of speed, their turnaround time is excellent. Even better, 3Play integrates directly into Echo Video, enabling an automated workflow that captions videos post-recording with zero friction. Let's take a look at how easy it is to enable this within Echo Video. At the administrative level, Echo Video allows institutions to configure automated captioning workflows, so every video uploaded can be sent directly to 3Play for captioning, without any manual steps. Administrators can choose whether captions are human or machine generated, and set default preferences for turnaround time and compliance needs. Now, at the video level, creators and instructors can also order captions manually. From the media repository, they simply select a video, choose Order Captions, and Echo Video takes care of the rest, sending the file to 3Play and returning captions seamlessly. This dual-level workflow, automated at the system level and flexible at the video level, makes it incredibly easy to ensure every video is accessible, accurate, and compliant. It's accessibility made easy, and it's one more reason we're proud to partner with 3Play, because learning changes for the good.